because this is going to be worth more than the dollar. People probably wanting to trade food for this. People are going to want to steal from him because it's going to be more valuable than food and toilet paper. Today on In the Woodyard, I've got wood to chuck. Let's get chucking. So today I've got a delivery to do. Actually, I have two deliveries, but the first one I haven't loaded yet. It is going to go into the truck here. I'm going to load up a bunch of mixed hardwood into this, and it's going to be delivered south of here. So I'm going to put this in, and then after that is delivered, we're going to go deliver the load that I put on yesterday into the truck of the split green wood that's going to be delivered. So that's what's going to happen. And today, while I'm loading, I'm going to talk about some stuff that has come up a lot lately that I thought I would address. But first I got to kind of dig into the pile here and get where I can reach some wood, because it's kind of, the piles are getting kind of messy and falling over. So what I'm going to talk about today is questions that have come up a lot lately on the channel. Now, for those of you that watch all the time, you know that I go up to my brother Ken's quite a bit, and people are always asking me, you know, why doesn't he ever come down to your woodyard? Well, because he doesn't need to. That's why. He has a lot of things in the area he lives that I don't have available to me here. And that's why you're getting to see a lot of Ken or a lot of videos that we've done up there at his place. He has contacts with all of the wood industry type things that I don't have in my area here. He knows loggers. He knows the people that work at the yards that are the yarding areas for the wood. And so he has all these contacts that he gets a hold of these people and then gets me basically in touch with them, and then we set up shoots basically where we go and we shoot, you know, the things like loading of the wood from the trucks into the wood yards, and then the logging jobs that we've gone and done. And then because he's 3.5 hours away, it's not like I go just for the day. So I usually go for like at least 3 days, sometimes 4 days. And when I'm up there, we'll do a video like in the morning. We'll go to a logging job and do a video like you saw, and then in the afternoon we'll go to his wood yard and we'll cut and split wood, and that way I'm helping him out, he's helping me out. It's good for both of us, and it gets more variety for the channel. So that's the main reason that I go up there as often as I do. And usually it works out for my schedule. I slow down a little bit in like February, where I'm not as busy with my other business, my photography business. I'm not as busy with delivering wood, and I sometimes like to take a little break from just cutting and splitting and stacking my own wood. Plus it gets nice variety to the channel for you guys to see, so it's somebody else's wood yard. He also has contacts up there that I've made with other people that burn wood, so we've gone and done videos there. He's got a couple different systems that he uses that I don't have, and that's one of the questions that has come up a lot, that people have been asking, that we've both been trying to answer just by, you know, typing out a few sentences trying to explain why Ken does what he does. And one of the main ones that comes up all the time is, why does Ken have his wood cut, piled in one area, and then he moves it, and then he cuts it, and then he moves it with his tractor, and then he splits it, stacks it in the tractor, and then he moves it to a pile? It's because it works for him. He is using property that is not his. That's his neighbor's land where his wood yard is. And he has 3 areas that he does the work in general, which is the 3 different areas that he puts different kinds of wood. Now, when the logging trucks come into his neighbor's property, they kind of have to stay on the driveway. There's really no way for them to turn around. It's kind of just a straight shot in. There's one little corner they can turn into. So he's kind of limited to where they can even put the wood when they come in with those big logs that he gets. And because of that, he can't put it all in one place. He's not as spread out as I am here with my own property, and I can kind of do what I want here. So he's kind of limited to where he can go with it. So what he does is he has basically 3 spots that he can set the logs. They can come in on the driveway and set them down. and then they can get out of there by either turning around or just backing out. And he can't really, they can't really drive off of the designated driveway without tearing it all up. And there's really no easy way for them to turn around. So he has them come in, drop the logs right along the driveway in 3 different spots, and then he takes them from there, and then he moves them to where he's going to do the processing, which is the cutting and the splitting, and then he moves them after it's cut and split to where he wants to stack it. It's because he's kind of limited on space. It looks like he's got a lot, but he really doesn't, and he can't just do what he wants. Like I said, it's not his land, and so he kind of just works with what he's got. And for him, it works pretty good. He's got a pretty good system there. There's probably a few things he could do to speed it up a little bit. But the other thing that people don't realize is with the kind of wood he gets is that giant, oversized cull wood that he's basically getting from some of the wood yards. That wood is not easily handled, and you can't just handle it like you can a regular log. Most of it he can't even hardly move with his tractors. He has to push it around. So he pushes it to an open area, and then we cut it up, and then we split it, and then he moves it to where it's going to be stacked. Now his stacking areas are quite a ways away from where he can place the loads when they come in. So by doing that, he can kind of spread out his storage a little bit, and it works pretty good that way. So that's kind of the why he does it the way he does. And yes, everybody asks, how come he doesn't get a faster splitter? Because with that big wood he has, that splitter is kind of ideal because he has that table where he can set those big ginormous pieces on and work them. He just got a couple more loads in that are it's some of the biggest stuff I've ever seen. It's, there's a lot of pieces that are over 40 inches, that are 42, 44. Even Henke had one the other day, it was 47 inches on the smallest side. So that's some big wood, and that's all oak. So each of those pieces are over 4,000 pounds. There's a couple face cords in each log. That's how big they are. It's just amazing. But it's stuff that the mills can't use, and he gets it at a really good deal. So generally he has to pay a small fee from the lumber yard to get them, and then he pays a small fee to the trucker to bring it to his place. So he's paying a lot less money for a load. Like, for instance, a load that I get, I will pay on average about $1,400 to $1,500 for a truckload of wood, and sometimes even a little more depending on the kind of wood, how far it had to be trucked, how much is on the load. And Kenny is paying for the wood and the trucking. He's paying anywhere from $250 to $350. That's it. But it's that monster wood, that really big stuff that is hard to work with. But he's got the saws to do it and the tractor, and it works for him. So there, I answered that question because that comes up a lot. And then the next question is that a lot of people want to know when he's coming down to my wood yard to work. Well, he doesn't really have a need to come down here because he's got his own work to do. I go up there to do videos for you guys. He's got more wood, so we can go in and do work in the woods. He's got, like I say, the contacts with all the different people, and I help him out because he helps me out with making different types of videos for you guys to watch. So in a nutshell, he doesn't really need to come down here, but he is going to come down in a few days, I guess. He's going to stop in. He said he would stop in for like a half a day. He may come down sometime and do some work. It just kind of depends on the schedule and what he's got going on. He is working part-time. You saw the one video there where he was loading, unloading trucks and loading trucks in the wood yard. I did a video, and he works 2 or 3 days a week, kind of on a part-time basis for the company because they just needed a staging area for the wood. So that's where you saw where he was doing the loading there. I'm going to get back to loading this wood so we can get it delivered. So I got another little tidbit for you to talk about. This is mixed hardwood that I have here, and one of the guys on the channel was asking me that when I do this I should show you guys and identify different kinds of wood as I'm loading it. And that's a really good idea, so I'll do that occasionally. I'm not going to do a whole big presentation today. I just grabbed these few pieces because they're all a little bit different, and a lot of people have a hard time identifying wood, and it's not easy. It's always a challenge. This is when it's the hardest. A lot of this wood is losing its bark. A lot of it turns gray like this, and it's harder to tell what it is. And a lot of people would look at this and they would say, look at it and say, what in the world is that? Well, I happen to know that this is a piece of soft maple. It's a piece of soft maple. This right here is a piece of cottonwood with no bark on it. Here's a piece of cottonwood with bark on it. Looks totally different. I mean, and it's gray too, so this is really hard to tell. But I know, because we're looking at the edge of the bark, you see how it's got the ridges? That's one indicator. But the real secret is to remember what kind of wood you have in your piles. I know that's what's in this stuff, because when I cut it, there was cottonwood, there was maple, soft maple, and there was a piece of elm I thought I had here. Here's a piece of elm. There was some elm. Right here's a piece of elm. I can tell by the bark. There's a piece of elm. This here is another piece of maple, soft maple, but when you look at it, because it's all gray and weathered, it's really hard to tell, but I just know by feeling it, looking at the smoothness of the outside. This is a piece of maple. I thought I had a piece right here. Here's this one right here. The edge there, I don't know if that's an indicator to you. To me it is, but you look at the grain, it's a piece of ash. So there's ash, cottonwood, elm, and maple. And they all look pretty similar, but they're different. Here's the elm, here is the ash. No, elm. This is the maple, this is the ash. Here is the elm and the ash, and this is a piece of cottonwood that is weathered, and the other cottonwood is right here. As you can see, because of the bark and because of the inside, I can tell by looking at the end of it too. It's cottonwood. It's not easy, but the more you do it, the better you get at it. And that's really all I can say, is that I can't just show you once and you're going to remember forever. I'm always learning, and I get it wrong quite a bit when I'm looking at wood. I think it's one thing, and then I realize it's something else. It happens because it does change a lot. You lose the bark, you lose the color, you lose the texture as it dries and turns gray, and it's hard to tell. That's just the way it is. It's something you got to continually do. I'm always looking at trees, always looking at logs, always looking at firewood chunks, trying to figure out what it is. It's an ongoing process, and I think it's one of those things, once you stop doing it, you lose it. So, same as anything else, if you want to be good at it, do it a lot. We're going to get back to loading. So we'll chuck this in and go get some more. Now, another question that has been coming up a lot that people want to know, people that sell wood want to know, I hear this quite a bit. People have been asking me my opinion, and they've been talking amongst themselves too, is what's going to happen with the price of firewood. Price of firewood's going up. Price of fuel is going up ridiculously, as you guys all know. Now that the price is more than double what it was just a year ago, I'm having to raise my prices. I already raised my price on my wood, $10 per face cord. I don't discount any wood anymore. It's the same price whether you buy one face cord or a third of a cord, or if you buy 20, same price. It takes the same amount of work for me to make one as it does for each of the additionals. So there's no reason for me to discount it. I don't do that anymore. The price has gone up, and I've also raised my price on delivery. Because I deliver so much wood, obviously I'm spending a lot of money on gas. Now, the other day I filled up my truck. I filled 2 5-gallon gas cans for my splitter, and I filled up 2 5-gallon diesel fuel cans for my tractor. It was 190 bucks. That hurts a lot, and it's getting worse, and I think it's going to keep getting worse too. Unfortunately, the way things are right now is it's going to keep going up. So you have to adjust accordingly. And if you don't, you won't last very long. You got to cover your costs. And so I'm raising my prices on all my delivery another $5. on top of what it was before. So before I was charging $20 for anything over 10 miles up to 20 miles. Now I'm going up to 25, and then I did it for all the other increments too. So and there's a lot of people that understand. I just tell people flat out, since I delivered last, I've raised my prices on my wood because the price is going up for me to get it, because I have to pay the truckers to bring it, and then I have to pay for the gas to cut it, pay for the gas to split it, pay for the gas to deliver it. So, and everybody understands, and actually quite a few people that I've told what the price was going to be, they said, oh, that's understandable. They said, that's pretty reasonable. I expected it to be more, so maybe I should raise it even more. So I think that because it's a topic that, of course, is affecting everyone in every way, people understand that you got to raise your prices. So there's that. And if you don't, I don't think you're going to be able to last very long if you don't raise your prices. Because everything is costing more. Everything. And a lot of people don't realize everything you use, everything you consume comes on a truck. And the trucks do not run on air like the politicians do. That was a good joke, wasn't it? Okay. I'm getting back to trucking. So now I just backed up the truck to a different pile. The wood that I put in before that I was telling you about, there is ash in there, some maple in there. There was some cottonwood and a little bit of elm I saw. So a variety of stuff. And one of the questions that also comes up is, why do I go from pile to pile trying to make a load? Why don't I just mix it all up? Well, and this I've tried to answer before a couple times, but people keep asking. My wood, when I cut it, if I go to the woods and it's an area where I'm cutting and all there is cottonwood in that area, when I come to dump it and I split it and stack it right in that area, there's going to be a lot of cottonwood. And not everybody wants all cottonwood. A little bit is okay, but you definitely don't want to give somebody all cottonwood when they want mixed hardwood. So I try to have a little bit of maple, a little bit of ash, maybe some elm, maybe some cherry, maybe even some box elder for the mixed stuff, because the mixed stuff is the lower grade wood that I sell. Generally my oak I keep separate and I sell just oak. My cherry I keep separate and I sell just cherry. My locust is kept separate and that's sold separate. The hickory is separate and that's sold separately when people buy it. And sometimes I will mix it where people will say, hey, bring me a full cord, give me a third of a cord of oak, a third of a cord of ash, a third of a cord of cherry. That does happen. But then I go to those piles and I take a third of a cord and that's it. When I go to the mixed wood like this, a lot of the wood, like I said, is in that particular area, it's all kind of one kind or mostly one kind. So I came over here because in here, there is a little bit of oak I see, there's a little bit of aspen in here, and there's some more maple in here. And this wood is my oldest wood I have, the stuff I put in here first. It's like 2 years old already. This is about a year old right here, so it's a little better quality wood. This I notice is getting lighter and lighter. It's turning into poof wood, which means they put it in, it's going to go poof. But it's for a guy for a fireplace, and he said just whatever, anything but pine, mixed hardwood, he said just no pine. So that's what I'm going to do, is put a bunch of this in. So that's one of the other issues as to why I go from pile to pile, is that I'm trying to mix it up a little bit. And for me to take the wood and mix it as I process it and mix it as I pile it, I'd be moving wood all around the yard all the time. So it's easier just to back up to it, throw a little bit of this in, throw a little bit of that in, throw a little bit of that in, and you mix it up that way. And then when I unload it, it gets all mixed up. So that's why I go from pile to pile sometimes. Another question everybody asks is, you know, the price of gas, what do I think is going to happen? I said before, it's going to keep going up. But I did find some gas yesterday for $1.79. Yes, $1.79. Yeah, it was a bean burrito, Taco Bell. Okay, trucking time again. Just threw a piece in you guys are going to want to see here, because it was mixed in with this stuff here. I'll show you these. I got to separate a couple more out so I can show you here, because this is a good example of how hard it is sometimes to tell what kind of wood you have. There's 3 of that. Let's see if I can find one more. Here's another one. Okay, so here, this is obviously, to me, I can tell right away, that is a piece of red oak. You can see by the the grain texture of it. You can see by the outside of it, it turned gray. So it starts to look a lot like some of the other wood if you look at the outside. But it is different if you see the difference here. So this is a piece of red oak. Now, these pieces, I'm gonna bring you guys down so you can see here. These 4 pieces I have right now, they're all the same kind of wood. These are all the same kind of wood. This is aspen or popple. See by the bark? But so is this. I can tell by looking at the inside. This is the bottom part of the tree. This is the bottom edge of the tree and the very, almost where the flare of the butt would be. And this is up a little higher so you can see the difference in the bark. That's the same kind of tree, which a lot of people would not believe me, but it is. Here's another one. Bark's a little different yet. So it's a little different than both of these. So you see here, that's a little different than this, and it's a little different than this. Same tree. Actually, this is probably the exact same tree. And then here is a piece, same wood, no bark on it. But I know it's the same wood. This is also aspen. So there you go. 3 different pieces. You got to be able to identify them to know what they are. All the same kind of wood. It's confusing, isn't it? There it is, folks. Another spectacularly beautiful load of wood is in the truck, and I am not going to deliver this right away. I'm not going to deliver this for another 3 hours. The guy I'm delivering this to is a new customer, and he wants to be there when I deliver it, and I kind of want him to be there. When I have new customers, I kind of like them to see what I'm doing, introduce myself, give them a business card, get to know them a little bit, find out about what they like and don't like, what kind of wood they burn, where, it's going to be in a fire pit, fireplace, boiler, wood stove, whatever they're going to do with it. And I want to find out, kind of their thoughts on wood so that I can take a note of it on my form that I have. And what it does is it lets me know, if a person is flexible with the kind of wood they like, if they're very picky, if they're a wood snob, that kind of thing, how much wood they go through in a year. So I can kind of keep track of my customers. It's just really good to get to know them a little bit and build up a little PR. The wood that is in here, the last bunch that I loaded, there was a bunch of oak. Right here's a piece of oak, there's a piece of oak, there's a bunch of maple I threw up in there, and over there from that pile right there, there was a bunch of maple and oak. So I kind of mixed it up and gave them a good variety. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to do some work. I'm going to actually be editing videos for you guys. That's what I'm going to go work on inside. I got about 3 hour time slot. I should be able to get a couple videos edited in that much time. And then we're going to go deliver this a little bit later. So next time you see this wood, it'll be being tossed off the truck. Here we go. Well, I just got done unloading that load of wood like you saw, and I came back to the wood yard here and I hooked up my trailer, and I should have done this earlier today because look at what happened here. It turned to soup. Luckily I went real slow and just got the trailer momentum going coming from back where it was still froze, but I hit this soft stop here and I should have pulled the trailer out way earlier today when the ground was still froze, because that's a lot of weight in there and the water was just squirting everywhere. And the frost is starting to go out a little bit here because the sun's been beating on the ground. But I got out, but it wasn't pretty, and I'm glad that I got out when I did. I don't have to go to do this delivery now for another like almost 2 hours. But I'm glad I got the trailer pulled out of there and I realized how soft it was getting out there. But there it is. We're going to close up the doors and we're ready to go. I'm back on the blacktop now. So it's going to disconnect this and then close the trailer up. So yeah, a load of wood is in from yesterday that I split. And this is going to Mark, one of my good customers. This is all oak for next year. He's buying it now, and actually he's pretty smart for doing it because this wood next year will cost probably another $30–40 more at least, because I'm going to be raising prices. It'll get dry, plus I will help him stack it so I don't have to stack it. I stacked this yesterday like you saw in the video because I wanted to know how much it would hold. So I had a measured amount so that I knew what I would have in here. So that's why I stacked it. So in about 2 hours, we're going to go over to Mark's and we're going to unload this wood and get it stacked. So I just noticed how front loaded I am here heavy wise. I got so much weight, the truck is just squatting. It's down about as low as it'll go without, you know, be riding on the bump stop. So I'm going to take a bunch of this wood from the front here and I'm going to throw it back into that hole there and kind of level it out a little bit before I go down the road, because I do have it loaded front heavy for sure. So we're going to move some wood before I go. So there it is. I took some wood from there, threw it back here so that I leveled my load out because it was nasty. I had a big squat going on in the back. We're gonna go down the road, we're gonna go deliver this, we're gonna do some stacking. Here we go.
I bet you it'll tip, some of the top stuff will tip down probably first. I do know it does not slide as good as it did with the powder coating in the other trailer. That was super slippery. The galvanized is not as slippery. Which is probably part of the reason why it's got to go higher. The bigger tip, yeah. Did I show you how this grabs? Yeah, you did. That's a deep ditch on the other side. It would stop. Yeah, at the bottom. Nice. That's about the best. I mean, you can go higher. But a little more. Keep coming. Good.
Probably shouldn't be doing this. Oh yeah, it'll come down to us.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Okay, nobody died. Does it get any prettier than that? I don't think so. Another thing of beauty that we have created, a wall of wood. That's pretty decent. That's gonna dry really good there. Like you said, the sun hits that and it just bakes. And this is all green wood. So Mark's the guy that's been buying my wood right off as I split it because he's buying a year ahead, so he's smart. Because this is gonna be worth more than the dollar probably.
Pretty soon.
Because they're gonna have people probably wanting to trade food for this. With the coming economy. Probably have to stand out here. I was telling you, probably have to stand out here with a gun and guard it. People are gonna wanna steal from him because it's gonna be more valuable than food and toilet paper. So there it is, it's a wall of wood. It's a whole bunch of stuff and he's still got room for more down here on this end. We put a little bit here, but then we decided to put it in the other spot. He's got room to fill all this. And you probably could get a whole nother cord right here, couldn't you?
Yep, I think so.
I think we better make some more. And then you got this to fill.
Yeah, that's...
Oh man, yeah. You better get on it here and create yourself a little fort of wood. So that was pretty good. Thanks for letting me come and play on your wood pile here and get it all stacked up. That is some nice racks you got there. You said you've had these now ever since you moved here?
I built them in 2004.
Yeah, very nice.
So, how do you like piling wood at my place?
It's probably the best job I ever had, for sure. That's it for today, folks. Poke the buttons. You know what to do. Hit them all. Hit the like, subscribe, share. Tomorrow I'll be back in the wood yard. You should come back. It'll be fun. Between now and then, get outside, get cutting.
Good night, Irene.